I've often felt that if I ask for help, that I'm showing weakness. That is not the case. Asking for help actually is a strength. You're showing strength because you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And being vulnerable is beautiful. You're letting other people in. Other people want to help you. They just don't know how to help you. So show strength and courage and just ask. Hi, I'm Bridget Shipman, the host and creator of A Mother's Guide Through Autism podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking about the second essential piece of advice on my top 10 pieces of essential advice list. This is the second one, and it is get support ASAP. So what I'm going to be talking about is what support is, why it is essential, and then also I'm going to offer you some tips on where you can gain support. I just was speaking to another mother guide the other day, and she was asking me, she said, I'm having a hard time finding support. I can't find other mothers that really want to spend time talking about, our children, how to navigate this. And so I thought that was very interesting because when I was at the beginning of my journey, I was not able to find resources. And there certainly weren't any support groups. So I found that to be very, very interesting. And I believe the reason that she might have been having a hard time finding the support is because maybe she just didn't know where to look. I don't know that for sure. But what I do know is there are many ways to find support, which I'm going to be talking about. But if you're like this other mother guide and you're having a hard time finding support, this episode is really going to help you. I know that without support, it is very, very difficult to travel on your autism journey as a mother guide. And I have learned that without other mothers to support each other on my journey, or just anybody that I came across as I was searching for resources for Joseph, that I don't believe I could have been the mother guide that I was. I desperately needed others who could understand what I was going through. I was very lonely. I think being on this journey without support would be very, very lonely and isolating. Even with support, it is lonely and isolating. So that is why number 2 on my essential list of advice is get support today. It is a very difficult time as you're out there looking for resources and finding answers for your child to go out and do things. I can remember my husband and I, there are a lot of times that we didn't go anywhere. We just stayed home because it was too stressful to take Joseph out because he would have meltdowns. And others didn't understand, although I would try to explain it, that my child, has sensory overload, or I didn't even know why he was having a meltdown some of the time. But it was those looks that we've all gotten of judgment. And it was hard because I didn't feel like anybody understood me. I didn't feel like anybody understood my son, our situation, how hard it was. And although there were some great family and friends who had a great idea about what we were going through and how hard it was, it was, in those situations, like, for example, I would go to a family party or friends gathering and Joseph would get overstimulated, or at a soccer game and he would have these meltdowns and he didn't have the language to express himself. So as a result, he was frustrated. I didn't know what he wanted. He didn't know how to communicate what he wanted. And there were the meltdowns. If I didn't go a certain direction, he wanted me to make sure that when we went to the grocery store that I hit all these important stops that he expected me to go to. And I quickly learned, if I was in a hurry, that it wasn't going to be a good idea to run into the grocery store with Joseph, because I had to make sure that I walked by the balloons. I had to make sure that he saw certain produce, and that we went the same way through the grocery store every single time, or as a result, there would be a meltdown. So there are so many examples of Joseph and meltdowns, and getting the looks of judgment, and also being advised that perhaps my son needed discipline, and perhaps my son was spoiled, or I wasn't doing a good job as a mom because my son didn't know how to behave. And that is very difficult. It is lonely. And it really didn't matter how I tried to explain it. The judgment was set in place. There wasn't really any openings for me to try to explain it, because the judgment was there. It was in full progress. People just judge. I got the looks, and as a result, I was going through a really hard time. Those times on the ASD journey as a mom was really, really difficult for me. And at that time, and if you follow me, I live in a rural place, and most folks didn't know what autism was. And when they heard the word, they applied it to a famous movie, The Rain Man, with Dustin Hoffman. And some folks would speak louder to Joseph. And I was like, well, his hearing's fine, that's for sure. They didn't know how to approach him. They didn't know how to approach me. And even knowing that Joseph had a disability, they still judged. They still thought that I could do a better job controlling my child out in public. And I didn't have a network at that time from other parents that had children on the spectrum. So I was very isolated. My husband and I decided that we would start going to conferences to gather resources for our son, to help our son, like we all do. And yes, we found wonderful resources for Joseph. But I feel like what we found that was just as important, maybe more, was support. We started meeting people that spoke our language, that understood how difficult it was day in and day out. And I remember looking at these parents and just feeling great empathy for them. And I realized, okay, where I'm not alone in this. And I exchange phone numbers and still have relationships with some of these people today, that many years ago. And when I came back over and over again to our small town that we live in, I decided that the support and the friendships that I had made, and also the resources that I found, were worthy of sharing. So I started the very first support group in our small town. And the very first meeting, it was packed. We were on the front page of the newspaper, and everyone was there to support this new group for children and parents that had autism. The thing that I noticed as I looked into the faces of these other parents, I saw myself in their denial, their pain. That is a human condition that we all had in common. Was we were all in pain. We were all overwhelmed and stressed, and honestly didn't know what our next moves were going to be. And as we met each week and shared our stories, it gave us a place, a safe space to go where we could share our loneliness. We could share the struggles that we were all experiencing. And we got to do that without the faces of judgment. So I saw myself in all these parents, and they saw themselves in each other. And it was a very, very rewarding and beautiful experience. And what I learned from that was that if I didn't do anything else, I wanted to make sure that we offered support, and we also included professionals and teachers, because, to give everyone the opportunity to understand more about our experiences living with children on the autistic spectrum. So if you are beginning this journey, if you have been on this journey, I highly, highly advise that you are part of some type of support system. It changed my life. It gave me the tools, the hope, the resources, the networking to just be able to take my next step. I understand that it can be difficult. If you are hesitating or resisting support in your life, if you would just try it, just give yourself an opportunity to experience it, even if it means that the only reason you're going to go to a conference or go find resources is, to find a therapy for your child. That's great, because you will find the support along with those resources. Research has shown that your well-being, better coping skills, and a longer, healthier life are all benefits of having a strong support system. And when you think about what support is, it really is to advocate, it's to back someone, and it's to help uphold what we all need. This is exactly what it is that we need. We need others to advocate for us. We need others to back us, to hold us up, to listen to us, to affirm that we are doing our best on this autism journey. and that we love our children more than anyone could ever imagine. And the pain that we carry is a very, very big pain. And we all want the same thing. We just want our children to live a happy and independent life. And so on this journey, as you keep going and you keep traveling and you have those struggles and you have those hard days, have that support in place. It will not only benefit you, but it will also benefit your child, because you're going to be able to show up. You're going to be kinder. You're going to be able to get some of your frustrations out that you're experiencing. Trust me, I know there are many of them in all areas on this journey. I want you to reach out, depending on where you live. What I've noticed is that the moms that I talk to that don't have support, it may be in a situation like myself where you're in a rural setting and there really just isn't anything in person, or you're too busy. You don't want to take the time out to look up from finding therapies and resources to just catch a breath and take time out for yourself. I'm very passionate about finding love and support for you. And I hope that you will also be passionate about finding that for yourself. And just to take a breath, take a deep breath of healing joy. That is what strong support will do for you. It's going to help your health. It's going to help you find more energy. It is essential. Where to find support? I have 3 tips of how to find support, whether you're in an urban setting or you're in a rural setting. It really doesn't matter. The first one is family and friends. Don't be afraid to ask for help. In our book, A Mother's Guide Through Autism, I talk about asking for help, and to think of asking for help as if it were a prayer. I've often felt that if I ask for help, that I'm showing weakness. That is not the case. Asking for help actually is a strength. You're showing strength because you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And being vulnerable is beautiful. You're letting other people in. Other people want to help you. They just don't know how to help you. So show strength and courage and just ask. If you feel like you're asking for too much, let that go. You're not asking for too much. You're on a very difficult journey. There are many struggles, and it is absolutely a prayer, and it shows strength to ask for help. It's a win-win situation because whoever you ask for help is actually going to know how to help you, and you're going to uplift them because they're able to do something kind for you. They love you. They want to help you. The second one is community. Seek support from your local community. If you don't know which one, if you have more than one autism support group for parents, just try them out and see which one fits you best and see if it's what you're looking for. You might need to go a few times to see if in fact it is a fit, but I would try a few of them out. If you're like I was and there isn't any local support groups in your community, this may be an opportunity for you to start one. I promise you, there are other parents that need support that don't know where to get it either. And If you start one, you're going to gain more benefits from having the support of the parents who are going to be showing up for your meetings. I really know that, as I shared earlier, that was a huge benefit and healing process that I got to experience when I started our support group. The third one is online support groups. What's wonderful now is that there are many online autism support groups for parents. And that is wonderful. I'm so glad to see that you can do this online. And if you're having a bad day, you can post stuff. You're going to get great feedback from other moms, and even if there's professionals in that group. I started one for you, for moms, for mother guides, and it is Mother Guide Through Autism private Facebook support group. So I know we have over 600 members. It grows little by little each day. Each week we add new members as you apply. This group that I started, it's a community, and there are professionals in our community, mostly moms. Any parents are welcome. And what Joseph and I, our message is to offer the knowledge, hope, and inspiration. So that's what this private Facebook group is about, Mother's Guide Through Autism. It's about sharing resources. It's about uplifting each other and to offer hope and to back each other when we need it. One of the things that I love the most is when I go to the private Facebook group and I see a mom who's having a really tough day, and all the moms reaching out and saying, hey, man, I know what that's like. They uplift this mom that's having the dark day. And that is what support is all about. So if you haven't found online private Facebook group and that's for you, check ours out, A Mother's Guide Through Autism. And you can certainly be a member of more than one online group. There are lots of moms who are members to many groups. And so you just find the one that fits you or fits a need, and enjoy the love and support that you're going to gain. So this is the number 2 essential piece of advice: get support ASAP. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and like this episode and our show. It helps us reach more moms. And after all, that is the goal to this podcast and any of the work A Mother's Guide Through Autism does. Let's reach as many moms as we can and offer each other love and support, hope and inspiration. And I will see you in the next episode.